Baroness alone, our honorable host, Right Honorable Lord Speaker, all Right Honorable members of the House of Lords who are here. Among us is also a bishop. We call it Your Excellency in English, Your Excellency, Auxiliary Bishop Thomas Löhr from Germany, from the Diocese of Limburg, Reverend Father Christopher Colvin, distinguished guests of the Jubilee event, dear medical mission sisters from far and near. Being invited to the House of Lords is a once-in-100 event for us. Medical mission sisters feel humbled, that I can really say, and grateful for being here during our centenary celebrations and to meet you, those who are interested in journeying together, to find ways together of promoting healing and wholeness in our world. With the initiative and support of our Society's UK Centenary Committee, shared by Professor Phil Harris, its members Patricia Nichols, don't know, she is among us, Anton De Piero, David Campanel, Martin Foley, and Gail Stewartson, the Society fundraiser, and many others, it was really possible, and they made it a reality that we can be together here. Thanks so much for your efforts, because we really had to learn how to do it, how to speak properly, what is really needed for such an event. Thank you. Without you, we could not have made it. And indeed, Lord David Alton of Liverpool was the initiator. He gave us the inspiration to do it, to dare it, and to try something new. And we are really deeply grateful to you, Lord Speaker, for allowing us to use this historic, wonderful room and to have such, I don't know, an awful, not awful, a view full of awe around and awesome. Here you see I am not an English native speaker, an awesome view on the River Thames. Okay, Anna Dengel, the founder of our congregation, said, "What else is science but searching out of the secrets of God?" Medical science is so highly developed now that it can save and prolong life, prevent, alleviate, and cure many ills. It could change the face of the earth if it could be made available to all. And she continues by saying, medical science is of its very nature a missionary science. It wants to be available to all without distinctions of race, of color, or creed. Its widespread application, however, will be a long and tedious task beset by many obstacles. And for this endeavor, Anna Dengel invited many committed women to the cause for life. Those who were willing to work in a humble and hidden way, not afraid to face difficulties and responsibilities for a more public life. And those could join her society. The impetus for the foundation of the Society of Medical Mission Sisters, if we don't take the spiritual inspiration, That was the unjust situation of women who were unable to get proper medical attention because of religious laws. Anna Jelnikar will talk a bit more about it. These women were predominantly Muslim women in India, now Pakistan, who, on account of their inclusion in the 1920s, could not see men other than those in their immediate family, and there were no female doctors. Many women died of illness and complications in childbirth, as you mentioned already, because they were unable to receive proper medical treatment. Unfortunately, many women and children still suffer from insufficient medical care. Let us only remember these women in Afghanistan or in Gaza. The impetus of living care and compassion, being a healing presence at the heart of a wounded world, is love. Love was, is, and remains the impetus, which gives our way of life and mission its meaning, its direction. Love empowers us to commit all that we have and all that we are to help bring about a world where all can live in harmony. That is Anna Dengel in her early speeches. And one who studied Anna Dengel's words and works is Dr. Anna Jelnikar from the Institute of Anthropological and Spatial Studies at the Research Center of the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts. Dear Anna, we are most grateful that you will speak to us this evening. Anna Jelnikar's primary background is not in medicine. It is in literature, in literary studies. She has studied and looked at texts in their historical context in order to read between the lines. And she sees poetry, writing as a permanent revolution. Her area of study encompasses post-colonial Indian modernity. Post-colonial Indian modernity. Bengali literature, Anglophone Indian writers, the history of nationalisms and universalisms in South Asia and in Europe. Intellectual history of ideas, for example, hospitality. Avant-garde artistic movements between the two world wars. That are only a few I can mention. And her PhD thesis was on the influence of Rabindranath Tagore on a major Slovene poet at the crossroads of literature and colonial and post-colonial history. Here she was led to research on Slovene women missionaries in India. And she titled it, A Forgotten Chapter in Intercultural Relations. Currently, she is engaged at the Institute of Anthropological and Spatial Studies at the Research Center of the Slovenian Academy. And Anna Jelnikar's approach draws critically on cultural and post-colonial study perspectives. She has conducted extensive fieldwork in India, and she was a visiting fellow at Presidency University in Calcutta, as well at Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Institute of South Asian Studies. Over the years, she has given guest lectures, both in Slovenia and abroad, also here in England, in Oxford, for example. And she presented at a dozen international conferences, across the world. Anna, we are happy to welcome you. And you will talk on healing presence in a wounded world. our topic, medical mission sisters and their contribution to the global humanitarian sector. Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely long introduction. Maybe this, can somebody help me put this up slightly so that you can hear me? I think so. Can you hear me? Yes. Well, I was deeply honored, as you can imagine, to be asked by Sister Agnes, the Society Coordinator of the Medical Mission Sisters, to introduce, or rather to talk about the Society to you from my own modest research. And of course, to be standing here in front of such an eminent audience is another great honor. I've been researching Catholic women religious for close to a decade now, and I can honestly say that the way the Medical Mission Sisters live out their vision of being a healing presence across the world is truly remarkable and humbling. What does it mean to be a healing presence in the wounded world of today? Now, this phrase comes from the poetic preamble to the current constitution of the Medical Mission Sisters, the first Catholic female congregation to combine medical professionalism with religious commitment. Now, to my knowledge, no other religious congregation has used poetry, yes, poetry, to express their mission in a legal document to be validated by the Vatican. Now, this is the stanza in question. We are called to be a healing presence at the heart of a wounded world, to witness to the integrity of all creation, and to build one world where the gifts of all people, all cultures, all creation are affirmed and celebrated. For women rooted in the biblical tradition of the Word made flesh, words and language matter. How can they incarnate the God of compassion and love? Seeing themselves as walking in the footsteps of their inspiration, Jesus Christ the healer, Medical Mission Sisters strive to embody what they preach, devoting their lives to working with the poor, mainly women and children, in areas with little access to healthcare. Both science and expert knowledge are as essential to their work as religious dedication. Neither should be compromised. With like-minded pioneering women doctors and in a continuous patient dialogue with the Vatican, the foundress Anna Dengel persuaded Rome to change centuries-old church laws, revolutionizing the way the healing ministry was practiced. The sisters also withstood the pressures of being co-opted by a male congregation, not because they were rebellious women, but because, as Anna Dengel stated unambiguously in 1925, and I quote, their main idea was to do the work for God only and with the necessary liberty. She wanted, I quote again, absolute freedom to develop, knowing full well that whoever finances has the power. But she saw no reason why they shouldn't have both complete independence and resources coming from the outside. Moreover, she heartened her fellow sisters to never be afraid to change if change was what was needed. Now, this fearless, dynamic, radical spirit of the foundress continues to inspire over 400 sisters from 23 different nationalities and working across 5 continents to promote healing and wholeness in all aspects of life. Again, the last words are from their constitution. Now, the legacy of Anna Dengel is tremendous indeed. She understood that illness had deeper roots than a simple lack of medical care. She recognized the links between health issues and the social and economic circumstances of the local population. Long before medical care was formally recognized as a human right rather than a privilege in the World Health Organization Constitution of 1946 and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, Anna Dengel was laying the groundwork for social justice in and through healthcare, advocating for medical care to be accessible to everyone, regardless of race, gender, religion, or social background. And we heard that wonderful quote that Sister Agnes had read out. A true life-affirming stance presupposes an acknowledgement of and deep respect for, even celebration of difference. Conversion was never her priority, even in the early days of the congregation. The first mission hospital in Rawalpindi, now in Pakistan, for example, trained Muslim nurses who remained Muslim, as well as Christian ones. Within a few years of its foundation, they were treating between 150 to 200 inpatients and as many outpatients each day. And for those who couldn't pay, the treatment was free of charge. As the congregation grew, the sisters went on to set up another base in Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, where again they trained local midwives, made home visits, and opened 4 health centers. Within 8 years, infant mortality in these districts had reportedly dropped to 1/3 of that in surrounding areas. Anna Dengel's goal was always to pass on and develop in others whatever would help them to help others. So over the years, this key tenet has resulted in 90% of their hospitals, along with all the equipment, being transferred to local governance. This has become one of the cornerstones of their community-based participatory model of healthcare, which empowers local populations to take responsibility for control of their health while also drawing on local wisdom of medicine and healing. Today, most of the sisters, in fact, come from the local communities themselves, particularly in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. This makes them insiders who understand local needs, cultural dynamics, and power structures in ways that external actors often cannot. The society has come a long way since its early years of establishing, staffing, and managing hospitals in some of the most remote areas in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Their approach has progressively shifted from curative medicine, which addresses individual symptoms, to a more preventive and holistic model of healing. Many sisters today are highly experienced practitioners of alternative healing therapies alongside conventional medicine. They also make it a point to learn from the local experience, encouraging collaboration on an equal footing. Safe water, sanitation, and hygiene have become paramount, as have the pressing issues of climate change, migration, and human trafficking, and their impact on health and healing. The sisters advocate for systemic change everywhere, addressing the root causes of poverty and social injustice. In rural Africa and Asia, they run grassroots training programs for women to become community health workers, combining local knowledge with medical and ecological expertise. Over the years, they have empowered thousands of local women, as well as men, as health workers, educators, and community leaders, no doubt catalyzing long-term social change. The 1960s saw seismic shifts in the society's self-perception as it grappled with redefining the core of its medical mission. The sisters became more involved with local populations, and they expanded their mission beyond the unfortunately called the Third World to all continents, including Europe and North America. They went to the suburbs of Amsterdam, the homeless in Frankfurt, and to the drug addicts in Philadelphia. They saw the world as one. Yes, we are all guests or visitors on this planet, aren't we? And for a short time, as it may happen. The sisters wanted to lead without domination, which meant recognizing their own vulnerability and breaking free from old patterns of thinking and behaving, a motto and modus operandi that they have upheld to this day. For them, leadership simply means ensuring that everyone is heard and that solutions are found through joint discernment, mutual liberation, as they call it. Recognizing and embracing their own woundedness and need for healing has strengthened their sense of humanity and fueled new forms of compassion. Sometimes simply being present with people in their suffering, in their distress, without trying to fix things or take control, is enough. In recent years, the society has embraced integral ecology and eco-justice, acknowledging the connection between environmental degradation and poor health, and demonstrating a strong commitment to environmental care in the face of climate change, particularly in countries where the poorest populations are disproportionately affected. In Peru, North India, and the Philippines, for example, the sisters have been campaigning for the rights of indigenous people and environmental protection in the face of deforestation and mining, advocating for the health of people and ecosystems alike. Their emphasis on the interconnectedness of all life and their commitment to caring for all of creation, including what they call the wounded earth, protecting natural resources, promoting biodiversity, and practicing sustainable agriculture, provides a deeply spiritual foundation for what science now calls One Health, which stresses that a healthy environment is essential for preventing disease and sustaining life. Their radical stance towards relatedness and partnership in communal discernment means deep listening and continual learning to relate in a healing way to one another and the whole community of life. Now, over the years, I've had the enormous pleasure of interviewing many sisters in both Europe and India. And I was struck speechless when Sister Eliza from Kerala, who holds a master's in social work and a doctorate in alternative medicine, related her background in pranic healing, which is energy healing, something that she had learned in the Philippines, and Oriental medicine, which she had studied in Japan. Then she became a yoga therapist in India, of course. She also studied acupuncture, acupressure, and reflexology, as well as stress management and transactional analysis in psychotherapy, which focuses on understanding and improving relationships and communication. She further went to Canada for advanced training in psychotherapy and emotional body healing. I don't think I actually ever met a sister, no matter how advanced in years, that would be retired. And I think this learning and working and learning and training seems to really be a lifelong process for them. Now, Dr. Eliza is the founder of the Ayusha Holistic Health Clinic in Kerala, which is a pioneering institution of its kind in India, operating since 1985. It is there in Ayusha, which means life promoting, that I first heard of brainwave therapy, which Sister Dina has been practicing as a treatment for depression, completely without drugs, for the last 25 years with much success. Another South Indian sister, Sister Therama, has spent decades advocating for the rights and livelihoods of fishing communities in Kerala who are under threat from large-scale development projects. I remember her telling me how oddly exhilarated, happy almost, she felt when she was imprisoned after protests against trawling got out of hand. She subsequently went on hunger strike with 2 other sisters to achieve their goal, which they did. I was equally surprised when Sister Angelica, who studied classical opera before joining the Medical Mission Sisters, told me about her successful music therapy work with former female Stasi collaborators from East Berlin following the reunification of Germany. If you really love, said Sister Agnes in a recent conversations, paraphrasing Anna Dengel, you have to be inventive. Now, with limited resources, I dare say, you also have to be highly adaptive. Now, time prevents my mentioning the many other sisters whose contribution to health and healing have truly been groundbreaking. Their stories have certainly challenged my perception of what women religious are called to do. I shall now close by acknowledging the contributions of Medical Mission Sisters and women religious in general to the global humanitarian sector, which, as you're probably beginning to see, is really distinct, if not unique. Because for women religious, humanitarian service is not a job. It's a spiritual call rooted in the belief that all life is sacred. Religious training helps them to cope with long hours, limited resources, and emotionally demanding work. Their motivation leads them to provide unconditional care, especially to those neglected by systems, the poor, elderly, disabled, or displaced. The sisters go to places where social stigma isolates individuals, such as leprosy colonies, prisons, or slums, and they remain present when others won't. Their radical presence has also been vital during health emergencies. During the Ebola outbreak, for example, sisters buried dead bodies whom others wouldn't touch for fear of infection. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the sisters reached out to the worst affected ski workers, providing food and medical care to people without any access to them. and I don't think they made any headlines. So this compassion, I think, really brings hope, and it provides dignity where formal systems often fail. Unlike many NGOs or humanitarian workers, sisters often live and work in the same communities for years, decades even, fostering deep mutual trust in the process. They don't just deliver aid, they empower communities to organize, advocate, and care for themselves. In many ways, they were practicing localization long before it became a buzzword, not as a strategy, but as a vocation. And last but not least, through their specific call to uplift women, themselves included, they have been strong in addressing systemic gender inequalities in health access, education, and domestic and sexual violence response. To conclude then, despite being marginalized, women religious are quiet powerhouses in the humanitarian sector. Driven by a commitment to serving God, humanity, and all of creation, their work challenges us to rethink the true nature of effective outreach. Their deeply relational approach to human dignity and its healing potential strikes a vital chord in a world that is increasingly hungry for authentic, locally rooted, and values-driven alternatives to ineffective, costly, top-down, and bureaucratic approaches. Besides, as Sister Maria reminds us, we all have healing potential, and we can all do our bit. You just need a bit of grit, an open heart, open eyes, a bit of knowledge, and to stick with it. Thank you for listening.